Technical difficulties here, technical difficulties there, technical difficulties everywhere. It seems I'm just having a shit time with my setup. Now, my setup isn't exactly the most sophisticated, but basically how my setup works is I have this free YouTube downloading software, and I use a very cheap video editor, Microsoft Windows Live Movie Maker, because, I don't have a lot of money to go spending on stuff like that, and this is just a hobby. But I wanted to make a video about my top 10 most anticipated games from E3, and I didn't get to because for some reason, now the videos that I rip from YouTube, the trailers and whatnot that I take from YouTube, using that video downloader, my video editor, Microsoft Windows Movie Maker, doesn't recognize those videos anymore, and I don't know what the deal is. Regardless, though, it still recognizes gameplay in JPEGs, so here's some gameplay of mine from Devil May Cry 4 while I talk about Devil May Cry 5, and I'm going to be using Resident Evil 6 gameplay while I talk about Resident Evil 2, mainly just because I was playing 6. So there you have it. I like 6, Resident Evil 6. I like it, okay? So you can all subscribe and then unsubscribe for that very reason. Thank you. Anyways, it's an evil resident here, and let's get right into the video. So, Devil May Cry, a little bit of history to you on my history with the franchise. So, Devil May Cry is one of those titles that, like a lot of the titles that I like now, like Silent Hill, though Silent Hill to a lesser extent, and Resident Evil even, Silent Hill and Resident Evil and Devil May Cry, like the one I'm about to get talking about, they're all franchises that my older brother used to play, and I would always sit in there and watch him play, and I'd always kind of get scared of the games. Mostly Silent Hill, honestly, is the only one that scared the shit out of me, though. Resident Evil 2, the original, did scare me quite a bit also. Devil May Cry, not as much, because it was just campy and hokey enough to just not be scared by it, just to be like, yeah, this is kind of ridiculous, I'm having a lot of fun. Even though I wasn't good enough to play those games myself back then, I didn't actually play and beat my own Resident Evil game until Resident Evil 4 came out. And that wasn't until they beat it. So I watched him play and beat it first, him and my older cousin. And then when they let me borrow it and use it on my PlayStation 2, that's when I played and beat Resident Evil 4. As for Devil May Cry, those games were way too complicated for me back then, and I had to get into them in more recent years. That being said, I have not beaten the original yet, and I haven't played 3. I've beaten on PS3, I beat Devil May Cry 4, and on PS4 for the definitive edition, I beat Devil May Cry DMC Devil May Cry. So those are really the only 2 that I've beaten so far. 3 I haven't played, 2 I haven't finished, and 1 I haven't finished. But regardless, I still really like the Devil May Cry franchise and its cast of characters, and its gameplay is wicked cool. And its cast of characters I've spent a lot of time with in the Devil May Cry anime by Studio Madhouse. And I really like Devil May Cry, and the fact that Devil May Cry 5 is coming out just inspires me even more so to go back and finish all the other games. I really, really, really want to really sink my teeth into the mechanics of those games and really get into them and play the shit out of them. I still haven't beaten Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition yet, so that's something I got to get onto. And I had the Devil May Cry HD collection for my PlayStation 3, and I was playing it. And I was playing it on there, and that's where I'd started playing Devil May Cry 1 first. But now that it's out on PS4, I think I'll probably just get it on that system and then really dig into it. But Devil May Cry 5 is looking fucking great. I watched some live reactions of people who were watching E3 and got to see the Devil May Cry 5 announcement. And you know what's funny is I almost missed the Devil May Cry 5 announcement. Capcom is my favorite gaming developer / publisher, and Devil May Cry has become one of my favorite hack and slashes, if not my favorite hack and slash franchise of all time. Helps that I'm not really into hack and slash games as it is, but this one is really cool. The mechanics are really awesome. The way I kind of see it is it's kind of like a hack and slash game with fighting game systems and mechanics built into each character with these really cool movesets and really cool things you can play and pull off, and it's really fun and really exciting. Devil May Cry 4 was awesome, and out of the 4 of them that I've played, which is most of 1, some of 2, all of DMC, and all of DMC 4, I have to say DMC 4 is my favorite so far, even though it makes you play the first half of the game all over again with the second half with Dante, which definitely sucks, but oh well. But I almost missed this live reaction. I was doing an under the table job that I normally do every weekend, where I clean an office. It's an insurance office that my family works at. So they just give me the keys to the place, and I just go and clean. It's like $100 a month. Nice little extra bonus paycheck each month. And I just decided, I don't know, I just sat down in an office chair and I decided, I was like, you know what, I wonder what's going on with the Microsoft E3. You know, I'm not really excited for Microsoft as much. I know that they're probably going to show a lot of third-party games that I'll be able to get my hand on PlayStation. So, you know what, all right, I'll check it out. And when they were showing it off, they were kind of showing off this game. It was very fantasy-esque, and I was like, is this a new Fable game? And then I was like, no, it's Black Desert. It's this MMORPG. I know about it. It's kind of cool that's coming to Xbox, but I didn't really care. And then it was like world premiere, and I'm like, oh, world premiere. They're announcing a brand new game right now. I was like, you know what? I'll stick with it. I'll watch this. And then the guy, this black guy with a cigar, is put in a frame, and he's like, we've known each other a long time, but we've never had this much trouble. And then it's like showing these demonic shit and stuff, and then all of a sudden, boom, the Capcom logo comes up, and I'm just sitting there watching it on my fucking cracked Samsung phone, my Galaxy Core Prime, and I'm just like, holy shit, what the fuck is this? And then it's like this chick's all like in the background saying, let us pray for mercy. And then boom, it goes to the side of the van, and it's like Devil May Cry 5, and I'm like, holy shit, I cannot believe I got to watch this shit live. I knew I was going to get to watch the Sony conference live, but to see fucking Devil May Cry 5 come up on the screen like that was just fucking amazing. I was like, wow, I'm so lucky I didn't miss this, and I got to see it live, and it made me so excited. I was so fucking happy. And then to actually have a little bit of gameplay sprinkled throughout the trailer. It's weird. The art style, it's definitely more realistic now. I'm gonna miss the slightly more like PS2-ish graphics of the old games. Even Devil May Cry 4 had it. And actually, you know what? Maximilian, dude, he probably said it the best. The graphics are less anime than they were before. They're more realistic now, though, and I think it looks really fucking cool. You know, obviously Nero was the center of the trailer. He lost his arm, his demon arm, and now he has a robotic arm, which is really cool. And there's just genius trailer trash girl he's driving around with, which is really fucking cool. There was this really cool scene in particular where she's like running down all these fucking demons in a van, and he jumps out and he's shooting them, and he's fucking revving the Red Queen and shit. Oh, okay, maybe he's not on that scene, but regardless. And then she's just like in there, and she's like slowly reaching up towards this cigarette that's fucking twirling in midair, and slow motion catches it with her mouth. Pretty rad. Whenever she speaks, it's kind of cringy, but for the most part, I'm fucking digging it. I'm loving it. There's this moment she's talking to this soldier. At first, I thought he was dead because it didn't appear like he was moving, like she was crazy and talking to a dead guy. But if you go back and watch the trailer, he's moving, he's alive. But still, first she's talking to him, and she's like, this guy's a real pro at smacking demons around. And it's just like, that's why I created that well-functioning arm for him, to kick demon ass. And I'm just like, yes, this game's going to be fucking amazing. No release date as of yet, as far as I know. I don't know if there was any new trailers that they showed or any more announcements. Maybe they're saving it for Tokyo Game Show. I don't know. But so far, Devil May Cry 5 is looking really amazing. The art style, though more realistic, it wasn't the kind of approach I would use. It definitely is something more akin to DMC Devil May Cry, but, you know, better than that because, you know, 8th generation. But I like it. It looks good. The characters look faithful. I could tell it was Nero when I saw him. On top of that, it's Johnny Young Bosch, and he's one of my favorite fucking anime voice actors. He voices like Renton Thurston from Eureka 7 and shit, and I really like Johnny Young Bosch. So, of course, I knew the moment I heard his voice, I was like, okay, that's fucking Nero, clearly, because it's Johnny Young Bosch. And then Dante, they show Dante at the end with a fucking scraggly beard. His hairstyle kind of looks like Devil May Cry 2's, I noticed, which they're treating this game as a direct sequel to 4, but I think it actually takes place after 2, because if I'm not mistaken, in the Devil May Cry timeline, 2 actually takes place between 4 and 5 now. I think it actually takes place after 4, because the way the timeline works is I think it's Devil May Cry 3, Devil May Cry 1, then I think the anime, and then I think it's Devil May Cry 4, and then it's Devil May Cry 2. And then now I think it's like we're getting back from a moody emo Dante into fun rollicking ride Dante. Maybe he was in kind of a rut and they're gonna explain it. It'd be really cool to see them address it in the game. That's one of many things I want to see addressed in the game. I also want to see the complex combat systems come back. As much as I actually did really enjoy DMC Devil May Cry 4 just felt so much more rewarding to play because I'm replaying Special Edition right now, and I just had to refight that frog boss that has the two sexy bitches. I'm showing some gameplay here, but there's moments in it where it's just like you're doing the dodges, and I'm kind of having trouble because I'm coming back to Special Edition from a hiatus, and I'm having some trouble with them, but you have these moments where you knock them down, you get them all tired and tuckered out, and then you use the grab move, and you're like fucking flipping this big-ass dude around, and there's all these cool little tricks and mechanics to learn and upgrades. I really love it, and I really want to see that return in Devil May Cry 5. We got to look at one of the bosses. He put a car in his fucking chest and started eating it and spitting fire out at you. And, you know, Nero's so cocky now. It's so weird. Like, he always kind of had, like, a little bit of that attitude to it. A lot of people thought Nero was super emo, but it's like now that I'm replaying Devil May Cry 4, you know, you seeing him, like, read books and shit while he's in that place, and that angel comes up behind him, and he's like, huh, not much of a talker, huh? Well, that's too bad. And then he's, like, acting all cocky and shit, and then the fucking big toad boss comes out, and he's like, oh, you finally showed yourself. It's like, I don't know. He's not as emo as people make him out to be, and I actually really like Nero. Part of it might be just the fact that I really like Johnny Young Bosch. But anyways, Devil May Cry 5, we don't have an announcement date yet, but it's looking awesome, and I can't wait. And I can't wait for fucking January. Oh, man. Resident Evil 2. January of 2019. Resident Evil 2. Holy shit, this game looks awesome. I'm going to be honest, and I'm a little bit biased here, but I'm going to be honest. I love Resident Evil 7, and since they were taking that in a new direction, showing a more personal story and showing us new characters, I don't mind the first-person direction, but I prefer third-person Resident Evil. It's just a thing of mine, even if it's over-the-shoulder third-person shooting. A lot of people say, oh, the games aren't very scary that way. Whatever. You can say whatever you want. I know for a fact that there are scenes from Resident Evil 4, like some of the earlier scenes in the village, even nowadays, when you're going through there at night with the thunder bombastically booming all over the place, and that song Echo in the Night playing, which is a really terrifying score for the game, and I felt the goosebumps. And this was OP age, fucking one-liner age spitting Leon. This was the new evolution, the evolution of Resident Evil games that went into the less horrific and more into the action-focused gameplay. And there were still moments that got me. And now with current generation hardware and what graphics can do, and you look at this trailer and you look at the ambiance, you hear the screams of police officers through the Raccoon City Police Department, you hear the fucking guy getting ripped in half, he's screaming, Leon's trying to save him in the trailer. And not to mention both trailers, because there's actually two trailers. You should check both out. There's the E3 trailer, and then there's a whole nother cinematic trailer. But the one I'm talking about is when you see the other police guy starting to get ripped in fucking half, and it's amazing. You hear the screams, you see the lickers, you see the blood on the statue of the fucking female statue in the main hall of the Resident Evil 2 Raccoon Police Station, and it's just ambiance here, ambiance there, ambiance everywhere, darkness. It's a faithfully recreated labyrinth from what we see of the Raccoon City Police Department we know from Resident Evil 2, and it looks amazing. I would have almost preferred them to go fixed camera with this game and have it be really faithful like the remake to the first Resident Evil, but in a weird way, I'm kind of glad that they didn't do that, because I really, really love the Resident Evil 2, the original. It was the first game in the series I was shown, and I watched my older brother play it, like I said earlier in this video, like he introduced me to Devil May Cry. And Resident Evil is no exception. He got me into those games, even though he's nowhere near being into video games anymore. He's pretty much out of them. He's shown interest in getting a modern game console and picking some stuff up like Resident Evil 7, but for the most part, he doesn't play video games anymore. But man, he might have ruined me. I could have been playing sports and been popular. I was playing sports when I was younger. I could have kept doing it, but I just became this big fucking nerd and gamer who loves watching anime. And then he's a pretty sound fella. Here I am now, big ass nerd. But you know what? I love myself, and I love the direction in life I've taken and the pop culture that I enjoy. And Resident Evil is no exception. But I'm almost glad because this does not taint the original Resident Evil for me. Now, I have nostalgia for Resident Evil 2, so it probably in a way wouldn't have tainted it anyways. I would have probably always gone back to it. But the thing with Resident Evil 1, the original, was I don't really have nostalgia for it. I didn't watch my older brother play Resident Evil 1. I've watched him play titles like Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, Resident Evil Code Veronica, Resident Evil Dead Aim, and Resident Evil 4. Those are the types of games I've watched him play before I started playing them myself. And now, unlike what Resident Evil 1 Remake did to the original Resident Evil for me, Resident Evil 2 Remake won't do that because it switches up the gameplay formula quite a bit. It plays very differently, and there's going to be much more novelty to the original now because it has tank controls, because it has the original gameplay. And what Resident Evil 1 Remake did for me was it completely ruined Resident Evil, the original, for me. I basically can't really play Resident Evil, the original, all that much. I played it one more time and beaten it just so that I could say that I had, because I had beaten it on Chris a while back, a few years back, before I played Remake. But I hadn't beaten it on Jill yet, so by the time I played Remake, and I was just like, oh shit, well, I have to at least beat Resident Evil 1 with Jill. So I went back and did that. Now, I will continually go back to Resident Evil 2 and enjoy that game and feel my nostalgia for it, while also having the amazing Resident Evil 2 Remake to look forward to and to play in the future and to enjoy in the future. And the game looks phenomenal. And it did something that I was kind of hoping they would. This was something that I was really shouting at Capcom for them to do, and I wanted them to really add to the story this time around, make cutscenes a little bit more cinematic. None of that first-person cutscene bullshit from Resident Evil 7, because I don't like that. I do not like cutscenes of that regard. I would have much rather had my character meet up with Zoe Baker and stuff a whole hell of a lot more often and have more cutscenes that were skippable, A, and B, were more cinematic and let us see the character and really get into the character of Ethan. Because as much as I really loved Resident Evil 7, and Ethan had his moments, but for the most part, I wasn't really feeling the character's aspect of that game. Even when Chris showed up, not a hero I enjoyed, and I liked Chris in that game, but I much prefer Roger Craig Smith. He's a Chris with more personality. I'm just gonna say it. And these characters should have more personality. And in this game, they're adding more story. They're adding more characters. Marvin Branagh, Lieutenant Branagh, he's the fucking black police officer from Resident Evil 2 that you go into the one of the offices and he's in there. And you talk to him. He gives you a little bit of advice and talks to you a little bit. And he's like, "I'm sorry, but it looks like your party has been canceled." And that is literally fucking lines from the original Resident Evil 2. But in this one, they've had to make it more serious and take away the camp. But it looks like they're making Marvin more of a character, probably a character who's going to communicate with you more often, which means that moment when you find him turned and you're like, oh fuck, where's Marvin? Where the fuck did Marvin go? And then the moment you have to kill Marvin, that is going to be a shitty ass moment. Or maybe this game will have like multiple endings, or you can change the lore and it will kind of adhere to old school Resident Evil that way. And maybe you'll be able to save Marvin. Who knows? I don't know. That'd be cool. That'd be an interesting twist. But we'll see. We'll see. We won't know until the game comes out, and we're gonna get more stuff. The gameplay looks amazing. Like, I've watched some other YouTubers' gameplay that they had when they were at E3 that they brought back to their channels and showed us, and I'm just like, this all looks awesome. I'm like, I can't wait. And zombies are scary. Holy shit, I never thought I'd say that again, because I always kind of got it. When people were like, oh, zombies, they're not scary anymore, you know, and third-person shooters, they're not scary, we can't do these because they won't be scary. No, the atmosphere, the way they do the zombies, how they get up on you and get all up in your fucking face, and the game's real claustrophobic, and you're all slow and shit as Leon. The game is scary. I kind of got goosebumps whenever I watched some of the raw gameplay on YouTube with the lights out. I was like, oh, fuck, man. I was like, let's do this. Let's fucking go. I'm like, I'm ready for this game right now. I want this game right now. Oh, well, at least I have the older Resident Evils to tide me over. And I have a couple other games in my collection I haven't picked up and played yet. But still, holy shit. There's some other great games from E3, but like I said, I had some technical difficulties. I wasn't able to make my top 10 E3 games videos because I really wanted to show off footage from trailers and stuff like that, and gameplay for stuff like Cyberpunk 2077. But oh well, I figured I had to talk about Resident Evil 2, and I had to talk about Devil May Cry 5 because I'm mostly a Capcom-centric channel. I mean, fuck, it's in my name, and Evil Resident. What did that come from? Seriously, what did that come from? What, do you think I'm saying I'm an evil household, an evil homeowner? I'm an evil homeowner. That's what it is. That's all the name comes from. But Resident Evil 2 looks so great, and it gave me these butterflies in my stomach. And I'm just like, holy shit. I'm like, we're seriously seeing this, and I don't know why, but seeing how high quality of a product this is, and how high quality of a product Resident Evil 7 was, and how high quality of a product I hear Mega Man 11 is, at least when people have it in their hands and they're playing it, and how high quality of a product Devil May Cry 5 looks. And did I mention Monster Hunter World yet? That's a good game. I'm fucking excited. Capcom is one of my favorite developers and publishers, and the fact that they're really making a turnaround in all of the games that they have coming out, people seem to be excited for. They want to play. People want to play Mega Man 11. People want to play Resident Evil 2. People want to play Devil May Cry 5. People want to play Monster Hunter World. And not only do people just want to, but they look like they're good games. They are good games from the ones I've played, Monster Hunter World. And people are excited, and I'm excited, and everybody should be excited. There are going to be people who aren't excited, who just aren't into those styles of games anymore, who didn't grow up with those franchises, who just don't care. And you know what? That's fine. You know, those people can feel that way. You'd be surprised. There's more gamers who don't care about things like Devil May Cry and don't care about things like Resident Evil than you'd think. And those people are just really missing out, and I feel bad for them. But you know what? You know, I get to be a part of this amazing community of people who love these amazing games. Sometimes this community pisses me off. I remember people screaming for this game, you know, mad that that Capcom hadn't shown or announced anything for it. But you know what? I'm glad they waited like this. I'm glad they kept us in the dark, because that made the announcement and the reveal so much better and so much tastier. And then to see that it's coming out in January of 2019, hopefully it doesn't get delayed, because you got to keep in mind that's always a possibility. Capcom doesn't do that very often. I think Capcom games typically come out when they're supposed to come out. But people were bitching. I remember all the bitching when Capcom, Unity, and stuff, and the Resident Evil channel were releasing like those Resident Evil 7 diary videos and whatnot, and people were getting all pissed off, like, I don't want to see this, I don't want to see that. Give us Not a Hero, give us this DLC, give us Resident Evil 2, we want to see these things, we want to see these things. Those people had to chill out, because in 2015, they announced that they were working on Resident Evil 2. Not even working on it. They announced that they were going to start working on it. That guy, what's his name? H. He basically came in. He had that We Do It teaser / announcement. And he came in and he said, you know, I pitched it to the board and the board really liked it. And we're doing Resident Evil 2. It's happening now. And people got to realize at that point, that was only 2015. I think mid to late 2015. And he just announced they were going to be working on this AAA game. They hadn't done it yet. They were going to start. And people were screaming a year to 2 years later that they wanted to see shit for the game. They needed to stop. And it was getting really fucking annoying, because it's a big AAA game. It's going to take a few years before it comes out. before they announce it. You need to chill out. You need to relax. We're getting it. We know it's happening. They already said that it's happening, so you just need to shut up and wait. And if you're one of those people, I'm really sorry, but I just found that really obnoxious. I don't have anything against you personally, but just being somebody who kind of knows that game development takes a long time and is something that I've looked into, to hear people bitching only 1 or 2 years later that they want to see something for this really gets on my fucking nerves. I was really just like, you got to chill out. Games take a long time to make, and they clearly want to make a quality product, and they clearly want to have more hype behind it than just basic trailer thrown up on YouTube randomly. So they saved it for Sony's E3. Holy shit. Holy shit. Resident Evil 2, though, looks great. Devil May Cry 5, though, looks fucking great. I can't wait for these games. Mega Man 11 I'm also going to try out, but I'm not as hyped for that. But I didn't grow up with Mega Man, with the exception of a couple of the Game Boy Advance games. But other than that, holy shit, these franchises are back in a big way. Resident Evil already came back. Devil May Cry was kind of coming back. They had the special edition. That's cool. They had the definitive edition. That improved a bad game quite a bit. Because trust me, no lock-on feature and little things like that. And this fucking copper key, gold key, silver key bullshit that I saw that the original game had to get into your challenge rooms and whatnot. And there was more than that. Oh yeah, the game only running at 30 FPS, which for an action game like that is kind of stupid. I typically don't care about things like resolutions and frame rates as long as something's running at 720p, 30 FPS. If it's a single-player experience, I normally care. But Devil May Cry requires so much fucking movement and so much fucking skill, and to have it get tampered with even a little bit and to have your experience restrained even a little bit just isn't going to fly. But you know what? These franchises are making a comeback, and I'm very excited, and I hope you guys are too. Anyways, thank you guys for listening to this big-ass rant about these two games. I really wanted to talk about them. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys on the next video. This is an Evil Resident out.